And we are live. There we go. Hello everybody. Oh, apparently hello everybody included the cat. Hello cat. The second I said hello, he just appears. It's like he senses I'm streaming and just arrives to cause chaos. How's everybody doing? Thank you for being patient with me yesterday. Yesterday I kind of took the night off to have a bit extra sleep. I got maybe 3 hours and then ended up having a baby be awake for a long time during the night. Luckily Mr. Nerd took him and I was able to get some decent sleep in the end. So I'm feeling much more refreshed today, luckily, and a little bit more like myself. So therefore I'm in the right frame of mind to get back to painting the Inner Circle Companions, or so she'd finish off the Inner Circle Companions. As this is the last one of 3. And then after that I have got Bob the Plague Blight. Let's focus on him. Yep, Bob the Plague Blight to finish off. So I'll be finishing off him today on stream as well. So that way, because highlighting this guy, so all we have left to do is highlighting on our 3rd and final Inner Circle Companion now. Highlighting is all we have left to do on him. And that's not going to take me 2 hours. So I thought I'd fill it out by finishing off Bob as well, who still needs to be shaded and highlighted. But anyway, let's get on with it, shall we? I am going to begin with the shade Dark Reaper. I've spent my day so far, in addition to obviously caring for the wee one, painting my braid's broken. My competition piece, there we go. My competition piece for mine, Mr. versus Mrs. Nerd, for next Saturday's video. For that challenge, we have got no limitations in regards to time, frame, or skill, or what we can and can't use. This very first one you're doing is literally just comparing each other's work, and we'll put it down to you guys kind of who you think did best in regards to who the winner for that is. And then the next one we'll kind of add limitations. It'll be like, for example, you only have 3 hours to paint a figure or something like that, or you can only use contrast paints or something like that, like some kind of limitation that kind of makes it a little bit more of a challenge. But for our very first one, it's just going to be about just seeing how far we've come in many ways from the beginning of last year to now. But also in regards to our Ahoy Painters. Hey Bo, how are you doing? Oh, hello cat as well. My cat hears people, like join the chat, hears me talk to people, and suddenly decides he must join me as well. Hello buddy. I'm keeping an eye on him because I have a couple of drinks off to one side and I'm hoping he decides not to knock them over. You gonna be a good boy today? Just sit with me? I hope so. We shall see. I was just discussing our competition pieces for next week, Bo. So me and Mr. Nerd will be going head to head with each other. I have spent my day so far painting my figure. He's still not done, but he's going to be. Oh God, cat, please don't. Doing well, glad you're doing well. And also, hey Rothmer. There you go, Mr. Nerd. Cat, I'm going to ask you very politely to not misbehave today. You are around too many things that could spill and break my computer. You listened for a change. I'm surprised. Sorry. Already having to stop on account of a cat. Not a great start. You sit there and not stand on the laptop either? Oh god. He's after my water and after my drinks and everything in between. Apparently my paintbrushes as well. Why are you like this, cat? I love you dearly, but you are special when it comes to paintbrushes and water. I'm wondering if I have a distraction piece I can like chuck somewhere. All that sounds fun. Competitive painting is something I aspire to. We are, for the very first one, Bo, we are literally going to be having no limitations. We are going to go head to head with each other and kind of just give each other the same figure. And we're going to paint them in our own styles. And then for the next one, so long as this one goes down well, we will then go in and probably put limitations on, like we'll limit the amount of time you can take, or maybe we'll do can only paint using contrast paints or something like that. So that will come in future ones. Cat, please don't. I love you dearly, but the last time you were like this, you knocked my water everywhere and it nearly ruined my laptop. So please don't today. The joys of being an animal owner. Cat? 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 You are having none of this today. You're too boisterous already. Okay. I have a baby sling that normally I'm very, like, I would have to only have the child in. Now I'm tempted to put him in it just to make sure he's contained. You can sit with me, you just can't eat my paintbrushes, drink my water, or ruin my setup. Can you do that? Oh, the joys. Sorry, not doing much painting so far. A limited palette challenge could be interesting, I think so. We also have red lights in our house, so it would be quite interesting to kind of cast the room that we're painting in like either red or whatever, it's a light that changes colour, we can cast it whatever colour we like. Put a bunch of paints kind of to one side, maybe like the paints that are supposed to be on that figure. Deposit them onto a palette. Cast the whole room in red light or something, and then just paint using whatever paint we think it is onto those sections, and obviously turn the light on correctly afterwards and just see what we have created. That's another one I saw that could be quite interesting. We are open to suggestions. I will add a limited palette challenge to our list. I have my phone next to me for this exact reason. There we go. Added to the list of challenges. I've got like a whole document just for challenge ideas now. I always start with Dark Reaper and then I go over the top with Warpstone Glow. Just because, although this is the colour that's recommended on the Citadel Colours app, it's not very dark angels for me, whereas the Warpstone is. And it's also the same colour palette I used when I was painting Lion, my 40k Lion. So, and since my plan is to kind of obviously use these together, I kind of want them to be looking similar. Love a challenge video. I think it makes things interesting. Because in addition to that challenge video, it will also be a face reveal video. You'll get to see myself and Mr. Nerd. So we'll kind of sit there, kind of talk you through our figures, how he painted them. And yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, I look forward to doing some challenge videos this year. I think it'll be a good opportunity to obviously test out new techniques or techniques that we're not necessarily the best at, and give us a reason to work on those. Kind of literally put us in a situation where you go, right, you have no choice, you need to work on it, and you're like, okay. I actually can't remember the name of the figure we're painting for our challenge. No, it's a plague boy, but off the top of my head I can't remember what he's called. Mr. Nerd, if you can remember, that would be helpful. Wait, you all have faces? I thought you were disembodied voices. Surprise, surprise, we indeed have faces and bodies. We are not just disembodied voices and hands. Shock horror, I know. It's a lot to take in. Are you up to much today, Bo? No idea, it's on my desk box with that, what it should look like. To be honest, I haven't taken any, any kind of ideas from what it should look like, and I'm just going off what I think the Plaguey Boy should look like. That's kind of what we'll do, but this is what the figure's named, this is what it should look like. These are the monstrosities we created. We officially have like our contrast videos now up on the channel as well, where I painted only using contrast paints. That went up yesterday. And I more or less got that video out and then laid down and went to bed. Not much planned. Gonna make some salmon and miso soup for next week, and of course painting more Skaven. Yes, yes. Ooh. Salmon and miso soup sounds delicious. And of course your Skaven boys, which are amazing, by the way. I have a beef stir fry to make after stream today. I'm somehow covered in brown paint from somewhere. I don't know where. But I have brown paint all over me. Don't know how that happened. Right. That's going to be it for the Dark Reaper. So now I'm going to go on to my reds, which I'm going to start with Wazadaka Red. As it is an evening here as well, I'm also enjoying a cider whilst I paint. So if my skill gets worse throughout the video, then we know why. But it should be okay. In theory, should. And so once we're done with this go, we're going to move on to Bob our Plague Blight. And for that, I've managed to find one of my sponges and I've torn it up ready because I'm going to be using it to distress Bob a little bit. Thank you. I picked up one of the AP Speed Paint Metallics, which I'm really impressed with. There are so many metallics from that are really, really good. I also love your base as well. The base you've done on him is really, really cool. Still need to pick up some different paints, I think, and just do like a side-by-side comparison of certain ones. Because we have, can't remember what it's called now, but we have like a different brand that does essentially their own version of Citadel's textile Steel and Mud paint. Can't remember, this called Diorama FX, if I remember correctly. And they do a lot of like the base stuff, so it'd be quite interesting to do some textured paints. Hey everyone, Sindri reporting. How are you, Sindri? Are you doing okay? But yeah, it'd be quite interesting to compare some textile stuff for different mediums or base stuff, because I think, one, base is something I want to work on this year, and two, it's also one of those things where certain things are, like Citadel paints are obviously really, really affordable in the fact like each pot does not cost much, but when you get a paint pot that's say this big, is it more cost effective to go for something larger? And when you're looking at, you know, like the overall texture, stuff like that. Basing my news is always something I leave to last, so forcing myself to get that sorted first for this project. That's fair enough, mate. I've still got to, that's the thing, I've got bases to do on these. I will be doing those off camera because I've got some tiny skulls to find and then paint. I say find, they're in my, I've got a whole box of stuff specifically for bases, but I haven't opened it in a while. So it's definitely something I need to work on. Not too bad, awaiting the storm to come and sweep through here. Oh, is it predicted to be bad? I apologise if you can hear any kind of noise coming from my next door neighbours. They're having a little party for their little one. It was his birthday during the week, and it appears they have some guests around today, because they've been slightly louder than normal. But, you know, they're just celebrating their kid, so we'll let them off. We'll allow it. I tend to do bases first and do the bases before I put the models on it, to be honest. Yeah, Mr. Nerd tends to do his bases, like, he'll build the figure, and then, but won't glue it onto its base. Paint his base, and then glue the figure onto the base, and then work around it, and build up stuff like around the figure. I'm in Atlanta, so we'll see. Oh, hopefully it's not too bad. I just did the trusty old torn up cork floor tile. To be honest, cork is always a good way to go. On Mr. Nerd's Dominator Dave, aka his Dominator engine from the Helmsmith of Hashut, he did a base that included cork and diorama FX, basically fake mud, and built it up that way, and it looked really, really cool. So, but since this is a competition and I know Mr. Nair's going to go all out with his base on his figure, I think I need to, you know, pull out all the stops and do my base as well and give it a good, you know, the old college try, give it a go and try and make a half decent base for my figure. Yeah, I have some sponge to use on Bob the Plague Blight. I struggle to say his name. It's a bit of a tongue twister for me. But I want to do some, essentially a bit of distress on Bob and do like a bit of battle damage essentially. So, and the best way for me to do that is to use a sponge. Make it a little bit more grimdark essentially. Because I really enjoy creating things to be a bit more grimdark style. What about you, Sindri? Have you got any plans for today? Good luck with the weather. It's going to be disgusting. Aside from waiting out the storm. I bought like 10 sheets of 1mm thick cork, which is really good to build up bases, my go-to every time. It is. It does look very, very good. I'm sure it'll come back into play when Mr. Nair does his figure. Right. Whilst the Wazadaka red dries, I'm going to go back onto the edges on the black armour and I'm going to do my Warpstone glow now. Using an even thinner brush. Yeah, normally when it gets to bases, I just get really lazy. Like, I spend so much time painting the figure. And then by the time I'm done with the figure, I'm like, okay, I'm done now. I'll just slap on some Astro Granite or some Starland Mud or something like that and call it a day. And really, it's something I should put a little bit more attention to detail into. Even though it is just me and Mr. Nerd seeing them, and occasionally we'll take them in like to shops and stuff with us when we're using them. But aside from that, it is just me and Mr. Nerd. But for the sake of obviously showcases and things, I should probably put a little bit more effort into it. So when I was at the hardware store yesterday, I saw they had some sample pavers for different textured oak, slate, etc., which could be interesting for basing. It could be very interesting. We've got like a bunch of stuff left over from our Armies on Parade stuff. It's like different sands and all sorts of textures. So that's all kind of just sitting in one box. I also have some like different grasses, mud, fake leaves, fake skulls, bones in general. I have lots of little things that could be really useful. So I might as well put them to good use. There we go. Cats yelling in the background. Most affecting this green on the edges, so I'm doing some edge highlighting with this green mostly. I've only got a few more days before Mr. Nerd goes back to work and I'm officially solo parenting with the wee one. So that's going to be fun and very interesting. I'm sure we'll do just fine. But it's going to be an experience. There we go. Okay. Do you get paid parental leave in the UK? Yes. So we get, for the first 6 weeks, you get 90% of your average pay, and then you get 9 months paid leave. It's the easiest way to explain it. You get 9 months paid in total, but you only get the first 6 weeks at 90%, and then you go on to statutory maternity pay, which is like 100. Now it's been, as of April, like 190 odd pounds a week. But yes, short answer, yes, we do. To be honest, Stender did a really good video the other week on base using clay and pre-made textures. Yeah, he's got some really, really good stuff. We were talking about basing the other day, actually. Him using like air drying clay. And even though it is a bit more of a pain, obviously it takes a bit longer, he says you can obviously make some pretty good bases using that. And we do happen to have some air drying clay, so I am tempted to use it. I was looking at it earlier, actually, and I thought, ooh, my cat knocking something off. Hello, Gray. How are you doing? Good evening. So we're on to Stormhost Silver now for the silver highlights. We're just talking about base painting and competitions, because Mr. Nerd and I obviously are putting out a competition video next week, and I've started working on my competition piece as such for the first time today. So I've been working on my plague boy, all day so far. Bo suggested a good idea for a future challenge where we have a limited palette. So that could be a potential future challenge video for us. Which on the list of palettes, it will be a challenge video in the future. It's a case of when. I'm good. Had my trip to the nerd shop this morning, grabbed some paints and picked up Lycus, got my little one, all the intro stuff, her first free mini, etc. too, are adorable. We are painting them in secret, so we can't steal each other's ideas. The first time we will see each other's models will be on the recording. Yes. So all day I've been like sat at the table painting, and every time Mr. Nerd has walked through to go to our kitchen, he's either had his hand over his eyes or like covering it up with his hand so he can walk past. So he has no clue what I've done, how I've done it. So it will be a blind reaction as well. Today I have just been basing an assembly for me on the Big Pig and the Iron Jazz hero model from Warhammer plus year 1. BRB, gotta cook breakfast. Enjoy. Hopefully it's something delicious. Really interesting to see how the Big Pig comes together, Gray. Because he is in fact a very big pig. Yeah, so my piece is currently sat in front of me. So far today, I've only got to the basing stage, but it's taken me all day to do. So I'm putting in the effort to do the base. This is just the base painting. So to do the base, so to do the shading, highlighting, all the fun stuff on my competition mini. But he's coming together pretty nicely so far. and I'm treating myself to a cider whilst I record today. So as I said to Bo earlier, if it gets to the point that the shading and the highlighting is looking a little bit lackluster, then that is why. Right, now onto the gold highlights. Which for that I'm going to use Liberator Gold. I hear silence coming from within the house. I'm assuming the little nerdling has gone to sleep, Mr. Nerd. Just like you wanted. Just before I started recording, he was getting a bit fussy, and I was like, oh god. Go one or two ways. Either going to scream the entire time Mr. Nerd has him, or he's going to sleep. I'm hoping it's the latter. There you go. Big pig next to regular pig for comparison. Should I have to have a look, Gray? My god. That is humongous. Absolutely huge. Chloroform does work wonders, joking of course. Rubber mallet too. Honestly, I put him in the Moses basket just before because he was going from being really whingy, and the minute I put him down he stopped crying, which is like the opposite of what he normally does. And I was like, are you broken? What happened to you? What did I do? Have I broken the child? So I just popped him in his Moses basket. Yeah, it's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's humongous, Gray. You have a lot of fun with that one. It might take a while. It's a very chunky pig. Anybody who's watching who wants to actually see what that pig looks like, if you go down to the description of this video, there is a link to our Discord. You can see it there. So you want to join the Discord? Feel free. And if anybody's watching who is lurking, who isn't in the chat, that's absolutely fine. But if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on future streams, and showing us support by liking the video to please the algorithm gods. Yeah, I really want to get one and paint it, but I have a video to put out tomorrow. Get on and paint it. Yeah. It's one of those awkward things, isn't it? Probably should have been working on that, to be fair. Yeah. As soon as I got yesterday's video up and out, I was like, okay, now I can do something else. And then I went, nope, I need to do my competition piece because we need to get that video like finished, both models finished, painted, and our video recorded before Mr. Nug goes back to work, which only gives us like another couple of days or so. So instead of having like a usual week or so, I had a little bit of a thing to do there. KGP, I just rolled over in my sleep and hit the laptop with my elbow, and this stream turned on, and your voice woke me up at like 1,000 volumes, scared me to death. I'm so sorry. My voice isn't normally that scary, I promise. I'm very sorry. And I hope it's not like too late in the night or anything for you. My cat is doing something in the kitchen, I'm not entirely sure. It is causing chaos by the sounds of it. Sorry, I had to go quickly go fix what my cat was knocking off. He's starting to be a pain. He decided to take off the baseboards of our cabinets to try and get into our cabinet. He's too smart for his own good sometimes, I swear. Just gonna pick up some Celestia Grey now. Oh no, not correct Celestia Grey, correct white. I want some... Where did I put my Celestia Grey? It's hiding from me. Actually, we're going a little bit with Administratum Grey. I'm just going to use that for a little bit of a highlight on the tail ends of the pledges. And then that is it for highlights on our final inner circle companion. And then I'll just do his base. And then I'll move on to Bob the Plague Blight to finish him off. But hopefully your joining the stream wasn't too terrible, aside from the fact that my voice woke you up. I'm very sorry about that. I managed to hot glue my plaster on my finger to my base as I was finishing at the Big Pig. I guess that is to be expected when you wake up at 4 AM. Yeah, not pleasant. I hope your finger's okay though. Really do, because it's not a pleasant way to start anything. I hot glued myself to a lot of things when I was doing my Armies on Parade board, like making my trees. The amount of like strings of hot glue that would come off of that was ridiculous. And I'd touch a part that I thought was dry and it was not. And I'd burn my fingers. It was not pleasant. I just can't be trusted, clearly. I'm too danger prone for my own good. Ah, it's fine. Hot glue cools down rapidly. It does. The first initial bit where you put your finger on it, not so much. Depends how hot it is as well, and it depends on how far into the stage of drying it is. Yeah, the stringing is real. It's ridiculous. Righty. Gonna start building up my base using Sterling Mud now, and then I will show you all 3 of our inner circle companions. Obviously these bases are going to have skulls and stuff added to them as well. I just need to find my skulls and put them on, obviously paint them and then put them on. So once I've got them out, I say find them, I know where they are, it's just a case of getting them out of the box where they are. You can make some really cool nibby terrain with hot glue though. Yes, you can. I might have to make a video on that at some point. Giving yourself ideas, Gray. I've done some terrain obviously using everything from expanding foam to resin and obviously technical paints and stuff. So I definitely have, and then we've used like rubble, and then Mr. Nerd has used cork. So we've used some pretty decent textiles and stuff. So definitely got some content that we can do some stuff with. Like it's 3:30 AM, I was so confused. Why is there a British lady yelling at me about money after stream on support? Nice paint job, thank you. I'm very, very sorry. Hopefully you can get some decent sleep again. And there we go. Quickly line up our other two companions and we can show you them. And obviously once I've done their skull bases, I will upload photos of this to the Discord and of course to the YouTube channel so everyone can see all three of them together with fully completed bases. But in a second we'll move on to Bob. But for now, we don't have names for these three. They're just the inner circle companions. I feel like they need names. Because it's three, the names Tom, Dick, and Harry kind of come to mind. Because it's the three. So let's do a close with this guy first. So this is our third and final companion. My cat is watching me from the cat tower that's right next to my desk. Please don't jump on here, mate. This is our third companion. His base is still wet, but that's our third one. Then we have this gentleman here. My cat has just decided to run off with one of the muslins that my baby has. He's got it in his mouth at the moment and I don't know what to do. They look really cool. Thank you. My cats are fighting over my baby's muslin. What do I do? I'm very confused. And this is obviously the very first one we finished. My cat has literally walked off with a baby's muslin in his mouth. Interesting. Mr. Dad, if you're wondering which one it is, I don't think you really need to wonder. It's Riku. He's the one who's wandered off with your son's muslin cloth in his mouth. Right. But now, let's pop our inner circle companions to one side, and we'll focus on Bob. For now. I have got some sponges for today's stream. I'm going to be blotting on some silver and some distress. Thank you very much, Gray. I did something similar for my battle damage on my Age of Death, but I haven't really done it since. It's something I definitely wanted to do again. But before we move on to that, we need to shade this fellow. So, for shading, I'm going to go in with some Agrax Earth Shade first. And applying this over to any of the areas where I applied the contrast paints before. Just to make our playboard look a little bit less clean. I'm going to build this up in layers, so I'm going to add this layer of distress. I'm then going to do some battle damage on the armor, and I'm going to go back in again with a little bit of shading, just to kind of make even the areas that are a bit battle damaged look grimy. Yeah, I've technically got a video to go out on Monday as well, so I've got a Monday's video to do. Finish off my figure for the video recording on Monday for Saturday, which is our figures. And then I've also got to finish off painting the rest of my Hunters of Huanxi Seraphon Warcry. So I've got some content that I need to do, but again, each and every single one of these figures all contributing to my pledge, which I haven't actually gone in and done yet. Like, I haven't told them how many I'm pledging, so I still need to work it out. I think I worked it out in total. If I do every single piece from Darkwater, my combat patrol, the inner circle companions, my pledge, my champion piece, and my competition piece, sorry, and the figures I've done so far, I think it works out like 101 figures by the end of May, or in mid-May, when I think you have to have everything done by. Which, although is doable for me, it's still going to be a challenge, but I am going to still try and go for 100. But I need to work out where those 100 are going to come from. Because I completely forgot my Warcry. By the 9th, yeah. So it's definitely doable. But I do need to go in and like tell them that's what I'm doing. So whether or not Mr. Nerd and I do that before he goes back to work, I don't know. Or whether or not I go in with the wee man by myself and go in and tell them how many I'm pledging to let them know. Or whether or not they take it in phone call form. I don't know. I'd have to figure it out with them. Never Missed an Nerd is obviously home, we go in anyway. So I'm tempted to kind of see if I can give him a ring, tell him how many I'm pledging, and then make sure I've got photos and evidence, which luckily with the YouTube channel I do have, of what I've done so far since December. I'm going to go back on my videos and work out how many figures I've painted. Hey Bo, how was breakfast? What did you make? Like work out how many I've painted so far, tally those up, and then obviously just go in with that proof. Maybe like, this is where I'm at so far, this is how many I've got left to do. I love using Agrax Earthshadow bronze pieces. Porridge and fried eggs, yummo. Very lovely. So we'll talk about dinner obviously on our side of the world. Still yet to make ours, but it is going to be a beef stir fry. There we go. Now for his belly, his innards, disgusting as it sounds, but his innards, I'm going to go in with some Caribou Crimson first, but I'm going to dilute it down with a little bit of water. Just so then that way it's not too reddish. Well, it's going to be red regardless, but a bit too pigmented. So I'm just going to dilute it with a tiny bit of water and go there. I don't cook beef anymore. It's too expensive to buy it these days. We got it was part of like a stir fry set for us. I cook obviously beef mince and stuff like that quite a lot. Beef is actually my favourite cut. Beef is my favourite meat, but we tend to eat more chicken and pork nowadays, really. But if I'm going to have like a roast dinner, I prefer it to be, it's got normally either gammon or, in my preference, beef. Entirely to do with preference, really, though. I'm also going to apply that Caribou Crimson to his loincloth, which I painted in purple last time. Miss and I actually have to go out tomorrow. Even your basic beef mince is over $20 a kilo here. Wow. That is very expensive. Sorry, I was having a little drink. Whilst those shades dry, he's got like a little tentacle thing coming out the ground at his feet. For that, I'm going to go in with some Slanesh Grey, just to paint that whilst our shade paints dry. I'm really liking this Laneige Grey recently for any plague boys. The green and purple will just work really well together. As these are part of dark water, I've decided I'm just going to do like a swamp look for them. I'm just going to do add a bit more, probably Tesseract Glow or something like that into the Ard coat to make it a little bit more like vibrant. And then I think from there I'll work with it that way. Right. Now on to some quote-unquote battle damage. I'm going to go in with a little bit of Lead Belcher now and a sponge. So I'm going to decant a little bit of this onto my wet palette. I'm just going to pick at this sponge to make it a little bit more distressed. Like I've already cut into it, but I'm just going to rip the pieces out so it's a little bit less smooth and a little bit more textured. Just an old makeup sponge. I cleaned it. It's just stained, but it's completely clean. And now I've scrunched it up. I'm just going to dip the sponge into the Lead Belcher and kind of dab off too much excess because I don't want to deposit too much colour. And then just going to blot it. Oh, apparently being too rough anyway. Get back on your base, thank you very much, sir. I'm just doing a little bit of distressing, nothing too extreme. Not like super obvious, but you can just see it in certain areas. I'm going to go back over the top of that with some contrast paint. And I'm probably going to do a little bit of Stormhost Silver as well to really make these parts that I've just distressed stand out a bit more. I just caught my cat before he decided to jump up onto the counter and knock my drink off. Please don't do this today, cat. Ooh. My cat just decided because I blocked him that he's going to throw his weight around. Sounds about right for him. Right, we're going to have some Stormhost Silver now and do the exact same thing I just did. Gosh, my cats are causing havoc today. I don't know what's going on with them, but they're just choosing chaos. They have woken up today and chosen violence, and I'm not entirely sure why. You can see that Stormhost Silver just makes that silver stand out a little bit more. And the cats really are having the time of their lives today. Just getting some of my same contrast paint I used last time out, which I'll show you in a second, which is Plague Bearer's Flesh. Obviously, the heavier I've gone with the silver, the more distressed it's going to look in those areas. It'll look better, obviously, when it comes to photos. But it just kind of makes the surface underneath look a little bit more damaged. But I'm also going to go in and do some rust as well. Not rust, some corrosion. So, and I will do rust as well, actually. I'll do both on this guy. How much of the Darkwater box have you got to paint? I've still got all of the goons to paint. So I think it's something like I've got 40 odd, or just under 40 odd figures. But they are stuff like the Kelpies and stuff. So, and I'm going to go in with shade paint on those. I'm just going to spray them light, like a grey or a white. And then use washes of like blues and greens to paint those. So they're not going to take me very long to paint at all. But yeah, it's like the big guys like this that might take me 3 or 4 hours to paint each. So yeah, it might still take me a little while. For reference, everything in that box is Darkwater. And everything in there still needs to be painted. So, I've got a little bit to do. The top two here are more Plague Blights, which is obviously the counterpart to Bob here. So, I've still got 2 more of him to paint. I started the other way, so the goons to heroes. Do you airbrush at all? I've used it before for doing my Arms on Parade board. It's not the best airbrush in the world, because it's just like a it's like a makeup airbrush, because it was just something I needed, because I wasn't 100% sure how well airbrushing was going to go. So I went with an airbrushing one for makeup and fine art effect that way, rather than like a big old professional one, just in case it went terrible and it wasted loads of money. Oh geez, it's a big tub of minis. Yes, so that's just Darkwater. But once I've done that, then I'm half of, if I pledge 50, I'm half of the way there to my pledge just from doing Darkwater alone. So I am going to be finishing them. And that's already been my plan for the next couple of days, because certain minis in here I'm going to use for other tutorials. So I'm going to do stuff like rust and then corrosion videos and stuff like that. So I'll be painting up a bunch of them to kind of look similar to Bob here. And then I'll go in and do stuff like corrosion and things like that for videos. So not every single one of those is going to be recorded for a video, but I'll probably do... is one of the airbrushes with the little handheld compressor? Yes, it is. So I'm tempted to go in and use contrast paints and do a bunch of the smaller goons with like a wash of a contrast paint because I know obviously the purpose of a contrast paint in many ways is to be able to base, shade and highlight. So for some of the goons, I'm tempted to use that. And then just finish off details with like metallics. And then using dry brushing to do highlights. And then just add details with a brush to like my bigger goons. That's my way of thinking of being a little bit more time sensitive. This is the nihilate oxide that I'm using, by the way, just to do a little bit of verdigris, essentially just some oxidation on the brass tone, some corrosion. But yeah, it might be a good idea to get the airbrush out again and to give it a go. Biggest pain though is like cleaning out the different paints from it every time. Jeez, that takes so long to do properly. Right. Now to move on to some more highlights. I'm also going to do the swell in his shoulder. For that, I'm going to use Moot Green. Honestly, these makeup airbrushes are only good for base coats and priming. I have one in my travel kit. That's what I'm tempted to do it for. If I can do something with like a base coat, spray a bunch of them with a base coat, then I'm halfway there. Because I don't have to individually paint them all. There we go. So his shoulder done. And now for highlighting the actual armour, I'm going to go in with a combination of a couple different things. I may go in with some silver. But I think before I do that, I'm going to go in and do some rust. And to do that, I'm actually going to use the air version of Mournfang Brown because it's super, super loose. Dilute it with a bit more water than I would. Do like maybe 3 drops of water to 1 drop of paint. And then using a slightly bigger brush, just kind of let it drip down in certain places. In the correct recesses. Like normally I wouldn't want to add too much water to paints, especially Citadel ones, because they tend to like separate. But because I want this to be super, super opaque, I could go in with a contrast paint, like Gulliman and Flesh or something like that. And I've done that before for rust. But the very first time I did rust, I used a diluted Mournfang Brown and it just worked in a way that I haven't been able to achieve since. So I prefer using this. And I just kind of just drag it through certain areas, and then I'll kind of use my brush to pick up any pooling. It allows me to do like a wash without actually putting down too much pigment. Sounds like the little nerdling has woken up. Which means Mr. Nerd's nap time is over. Yeah, I do definitely like using diluted Mornfang air Mornfang brown for this. It's quite a nice effect. Using the brush to clean up excess paint is such a killer tip. Works great for shades and contrast paints. Yes, so that's what I tend to use. So I'll kind of let it in and then let it kind of drip down. And then with a just clean wet brush, pop it on to wherever I put the paint, let the paint suck back up into the brush, and then wipe it off on a piece of kitchen towel, usually. You can see it's depositing colour without taking away really from what's underneath it too much, and makes it look a little bit more grimy. Now to do some more of that on the front, because I've done quite a lot on the back. Please go in and do this with a sponge as well. I've done this both with a sponge and with a brush to apply rust colours. Both techniques work really, really well. But when I'm on smaller minis like this, I prefer to use a brush. But as you can see, it's coming together quite nicely. This was actually like 1 drop of paint to like 2 or 3 drops of water, and it has done the entire figure with what I want. But yeah, we'll leave it there with the rest. Now on to our actual highlights. Because now that we've added some of that grime, we want to add some brightness back in. So for that, I'm going to go in with a combination of Death Guard green and also some Stormhost silver in certain areas. So So he's going in with Death Guard Green first. And I'm just going over high points. High points and edges. Focusing a lot of that highlight around the edges of his broken armor to really draw attention to the grimy innards, such a gross word, sticking out from his armor. Obviously this is a matte, obviously, or a non-metallic paint, so the highlights are going to stick out a little bit more. That's kind of what I want. I don't want them to blend in too much with the metallic that's underneath. Yeah, but Mr. Dab and I were looking for competition pieces. We just needed to find obviously 2 of the exact same. And it was actually surprisingly difficult in our local store to find 2 of the same that weren't ridiculous. Like, some of them were so complex. It was like, that's going to take more than a day or 2 to paint. And we don't have that much time to dedicate to the challenge videos in regards to, like, when we've got these bigger projects. It's that thing of, we kind of want to do the challenge video, especially if we kind of put a time constraint on us in future challenges. We don't want to have to pick a product or pick up a model that is designed to take you hours and hours and hours to paint, because otherwise they're both going to turn out looking pretty poor. We want to have something that you can complete in a relatively reasonable amount of time and then compare side by side and go, okay, how well did we do with 5 hours to paint a mini versus how well we did to paint with 10 hours to paint a mini. Whereas if you've got one that's like, one's going to take you 2 or 3 days to paint, if you only limit yourself to 5 hours, it's not going to be your best work. And we still want to try and achieve some pretty good results in these challenges. Yeah, single miniatures tend to be big centerpieces these days. Yeah. So it's one of those things where today I think this mini alone, and I've just done his base for my competition one. For me to just do his base has taken me about 3 hours. Yeah, 3-4 hours just to do his base. And he hasn't been shaded yet, he hasn't been highlighted yet. So already, he's taken me a while. But yeah, it's just about making sure we're putting the best, like our best kind of foot forward in regards to these challenges. We don't want to set the challenge for ourselves and then do really poor work. We want to actually produce something decent for you guys to look at. So that's something for us to be proud of. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that for the green highlights. I'm going to go in with a tiny bit of Stormhost Silver on certain areas. And just focus on this one, not necessarily for coating entire edges, but set bits of edges. This is going to work hand in hand with the green that I've applied. Ooh. There we go. There we go. I think I'm just going to highlight the bone or the antler coming out of his head, and then I'm going to do his base. And then I'm going to leave it at that, I think. Just because I don't want to go too overboard with highlights on this figure. Because I don't want to lose any of the grime that I've added. I want to kind of still keep it quite grimdark. I don't want it to be too highlighted. So I'm just going to do a little bit of... I think I've done all the procrastinating I can. Time to get this video done. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm going to mix a little bit of Slaanesh Grey with some Corax White. And I'm just going to highlight his innards, his loincloth, and the little thing coming out the floor. In fact, whilst I highlight the others, let me just go in with some Druchii Violet over the vine that's coming out the floor. And then I will just do his antler, his loincloth, and his base. And by that point, we should be about the 2-hour mark. So then I can go relieve Mr. Nerd of the wee man. I think the wee man's gearing up for another growth spurt because he has been, like when he's been crying the last couple of days, he's been inconsolable. Bless him. Then again, he's a month old and he's quite a long boy, so the fact that he'd be growing already makes sense. But yeah, so Corax White mixed with some Slaanesh Grey, which obviously is actually more of a purple colour. In my defence, I was being productive, bringing together all my channel prep stuff, intro, cello, and properly scheduling stuff. Yeah, you've still been productive, great. It's not like you've just lounged around and done nothing. Not to mention you've built a bunch of stuff. You've been out today. You've been busy. I would still call that a productive day. Not going to be a wee man for much longer by the sounds of it. Yeah, no, me neither. I think he's going to be quite a big boy. Just imagine when he's older and he'll be like, what was my nickname on the channel? He's like, your nickname was Wee Man for ages. And you'll be like, really? Wee Man? It's like, yes, your nickname was Wee Man. Wee Man and Little Nurgling. So, I'm not sure which nickname he'd prefer more. For the innards growth, I'm actually going to mix some Corax White with some Bugmans. And then once I've done that, I will just do the ground and the antler. And then I will call it. I guess it will depend if he turns out to be a heretic or not. That is going to be the question. We'll leave it up to Mr. Nerd to decide. If he turns into a heretic, it's Mr. Nerd's fault for exposing him to Tau. Gonna go with Mushavati Bone for the antler on his head. In a few years' time, I'll be like, what was the wee man's first kit? If it's, you know, if it's Tau, then you know he's been under Mr. Nerd's influence. Yes, join us in the tower ridiculing. In this house, they're just called space communists. But no, the wee man will not be a tower supporter. He will choose something else. We only have one heretic in this household, not two. Okay, leave it there for that highlight as well. Quickly give you a close-up of Bob. So this is Bob. He's had rust. He's had some, obviously some highlights. He's had some corrosion added. And then as well as some damage. But yeah, that is Bob. So we're just going to paint him with some Sterland mud on his base now. And then we'll call it there for tonight, guys. Obviously slightly shorter stream, but it was just like a finishing off stream to finish off our inner circles and obviously to finish off Bob, so that tomorrow I can start something different. And yet to decide what that will be. But as soon as this is done, we can move on to something else. But I am just going to do a base coat of Sterland mud on this. Normally I've been leaving these bases plain, but I've decided I'm literally just going to do a swampy base. So I'm just going to do a base coat of Sterland mud, just so I can begin doing that, because I've got to do all the bases on my heroes and villains so far as well. So I've got to do all the bases on those to fully finish those off. I'm going to build it up in certain areas so that I can actually create almost like a puddle effect. But yeah, we will leave that there. Thank you guys for joining the stream today. So that's obviously great. That's Bo, obviously Mr. Nerd. And then right at the top, we had Sindri. Thank you so much for joining the stream. Anybody who's just been watching in the background, thank you for joining us as well. Appreciate you guys being here. Like I said, it was a slightly shorter stream today because it was just finishing off our minis. So Bob is now done and our inner circle companions are now done. So tomorrow we can move on to something new. But yeah, thank you everybody. I hope you have a wonderful evening and day, of course, if you're Bo as well, because it's the opposite time of the world for you. But yeah, thank you so much guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye for now.